Hi everyone! Welcome back to our channel! As mentioned during our previous videos, we recently moved into our house last December. So today, we would want to share some tips that were very helpful how we transformed our empty house to our beautiful home today.
If you would like to know what are the tips, please keep on watching.
Tip number 1.
The budget and the timeline. Everyone wish to have an unlimited budget when you do renovation. Unfortunately, in reality, we do have a budget. So for us, it's like we already set a budget and we try our best to stick to it. Because when during the renovation, it's very easy, we get influenced by the contractor or the ID, they will tend to ask to do more. That's why the budget when we set, we need to really try our best to stick to it. And the budget, of course, is including the so-called furniture and the loose item as well, besides the renovation stuff. Another thing is the timeline. For example, when we decided to move in December, actually we need to make sure we already get it done from the renovation contractor. It's like in maybe September. It's the best if we at least
So
have
that if
3
there's
months.
any delay, then you still have time to adjust.
Tip number 2.
Do your research. So what I did during the beginning was I went through Pinterest. I also downloaded some apps like House and Canvas to see what kind of home or feel that we wanted for the house. So you can choose from different themes like contemporary, industrial. It's really up to you. But before you engage anyone or anything in the process, you have to have a vision for the house and you stick to it. So that's a tip that we can share with you guys. So that's easier for you to talk to the contractors and the interior designers. You have to have a vision or a picture in mind how you want your house to look like. Tip number 3.
Actually, we in discussion. Do we want to just encourage a contractor, or we actually want to encourage the IT? So the IT is the interior designer. Actually, we are thinking is like since both of us need to work and we actually quite busy for our job, all these things. So why not we get the ID so that we have a single point of contact. So we don't need to talk to so many person. We only need to talk to the ID. That's why we decided to go with ID.
Even if it's more expensive, I think it saved us time. It saved us energy to talk to a lot of people. So that's the main reason why we went with that. So we had a few criteria also in mind in choosing our interior designer. So we went to a home fair, so it would be more time efficient. So we could see a lot of types of interior designers, and we narrowed it down to one that we chose to do our house. So we considered their reputation. We also reviewed their past work in their website just so that we're at ease, or we trust the person that we're going to work with for the house.
Tip number 4.
So tip number 4 would be set your priorities. So of course, after you engage your interior designer, you get the quote, you get the pricing, everything, and sometimes it would shock you of how expensive it could be. So it's important that you have your priorities. Like for example, for us, what we did was we prioritized the living room, the dining room, kitchen, and the master room first. So the 2 extra rooms upstairs, we didn't bother to touch them first because as Mia mentioned earlier, you need to stick with your budget. So given our budget, we only had enough to do certain rooms first. So it's important that you know your priorities. For example, the island is one of the things that we really wanted for the house. The feature wall that we have in front of us in our living room is something that we also wanted for the house to give it a more homey feel. So if that's what your priority is, then you have to stick to it and just compromise those things that you think you don't need yet, or you just want to have. Number 5.
Open communication is between me and her. Actually, during the renovation stage and even during the ID design stage, everything is like always have a differences because me and her she's totally opposite person. We think differently. But one good thing is like when we open discussion, at least we don't reach to the stage is like already done something, then only we want to change. At least we already during the so-called planning or preparation stage, we already have a so-called common understanding. This is what is very important. And the so-called open communication also can be applicable between me, us, and between the ID as well. Because the ID also sometimes they give us a lot of these recommendation. But end of the day, maybe we don't really
Stick to the plan.
Yeah, stick to the plan. That's why it's and upfront telling them is like what we need to be done is better than halfway then only you ask for changes. That's why I think open communication is very critical for this so-called renovation project.
So I think we've reached the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed those tips that we've shared, and if you're also doing your renovation or you're building your home, share with us if you've experienced the same things. I know sometimes it would be quite stressful, but enjoy the process.
Yeah. After this, actually when we look back, it's like we still very much enjoy the process of overcome all kind of the small or big issue pop up when we do the renovations. See you guys next week. Bye bye.